Good day, viewers. Welcome to School on Air. Last time in geography class, we tried to take a look at different types of farming in Africa. We tried to look at bush fallowing, we tried to look at shifting cultivation, we tried to look at Mediterranean farming, we tried to look at fruit farming, we tried to look at different types of farming in Africa. And we also take a look at irrigation farming and other types of farming to which we have in Africa. But today, specifically, we shall be looking at irrigation farming in Africa. Irrigation farming in Africa, we shall be looking at different types of area whereby irrigation is in practice. We shall also be looking at different types of irrigation that are being practiced in different parts of Africa. What is irrigation? Irrigation can be defined as the artificial application of water to the land or what? Or soil. That is irrigation. Irrigation can simply be defined as the what? As the application of water to the land or to the soil. In other words, what we are trying to say in essence is that there are some areas that they don't usually experience rainfall because of the climatic variation. They don't usually experience rainfall. But with the help of irrigation, water can be introduced in that very particular area so that they can grow a particular types of crop in that very particular area. That is what we mean by application of water. That is, you are introducing water into that area, probably from the river or from every other or from any other source down to that very particular land, so that that land can be active, can be productive. That is, you can plant a crop on that very particular land and it can produce a very good fruit. What is irrigation again? Irrigation is being used to assist the growing of agricultural crops. Like what I've said the other time, that irrigation, the purpose of irrigation is to assist the farmers in area where naturally the rainfall is inadequate or they don't usually have rainfall. That is the purpose of irrigation. Irrigation also means the maintenance of landscape and revegetation of disturbed soil in dry areas and during periods of inadequate rainfall. Also, the essence of irrigation is to help the landscape of an area to revegetate a particular area, because if there is no water, in a particular, of course, the plant will not grow, because the water helps in dissolving the nutrients in the soil. So with the help of water, there can be what I call revegetation of a particular land. That is a land that has not been productive. When water is introduced in that very particular land, the land can be very productive and a particular type of crop can be grown in that very particular area. What are the sources of irrigation? Basically, we have different types of sources of irrigation. Number one, we have groundwater from spring or by using of wells. In other words, you can get water from wells. You can get water from spring water, that is from spring water or from well water. And we also have surface water, that is from water that is on the surface, like your rivers, your streams. Those are what we mean by surface water. That is also an example include lakes or reservoir. These are forms of surface water. Also, use of non-conventional sources like treated wastewaters, desalinated waters, and draining water. In some regions where the river of that area is very, very salty. Like for example, in Israel, the water, some of the rivers in that area is very, very salty. So the first thing they have to do is to desalinate water. That is water that contains salt. They have to desalinate. They have to remove the salt. That is desalination. They have to remove the salt so that that water can be useful for irrigation purposes. Also, in some of the drainages, many people that have drainages that is always filled up, probably during the type of erosion, they can take from that water to irrigate their very particular land and to help in growing up of crops. This is an example of canal as a source for irrigation water. If you look at it, you're going to find out that this water normally flows around this very particular part. This is a particular drainage. The water normally flows along this very particular part. And when the water is flowing along this part, farmers can come here and you can use pipe or hose. You will connect to this one with the help of a particular machine. And you can see farmland around this area. You can also see farmland at this other side. So a farmer can take water from here to irrigate his land, and the crop can actually do it. So this is an example of a canal being used for irrigation purposes. Let's just try to look at irrigation agriculture in line basin. Last time I said that I was trying to say that we have different types of irrigation being practiced in Africa. One of the regions whereby irrigation is being practiced is the Nile area. The Nile area is very important River to Egypt, Sudan, through which it flows because of the fertile seeds which it deposits when it floods. One of the most important things about Nile River is that there is this adage that normally says that no Nile, no Egypt, because it has been found out that more than 65% of Egyptian population, they are living along River Nile. And the purpose of this is that they use River Nile for irrigation purposes. And also, River Nile has this natural capability. Anytime it rains and then River Nile overflows its banks, the water will splash through, the flood water will splash through the other area. And so, once the water cannot come back again, as the water splashes to the other area, it goes with deposits, with soil. And those soil cannot come back to the original river again. So the soil will stay there. They will stay at that point. And so because the soil is very, very rich in nutrients, the farmer will quickly go there. They will plant their crops. They will plant vegetables. They will plant sugarcane. They will plant their fruits, to which normally used. And that is why people normally say no Nile, no Egypt. So one of the major areas to which irrigation is being practiced is the Nile Basin. Also, apart from the Nile Basin, we also have the Nile Delta. These areas include the Nile Valley, particularly in Egypt, where bank of the Nile have been raised up to about 1 meter. In this very particular area, what normally happens is that the farmer will raise up the depth of the area. They will raise it up a little bit so that they can have, once it is being raised up, they will pass a particular pipe along that line. Then they will now begin to spray their very particular land so that they can get water from that area. And that is what they do in this part of Nile Valley, particularly in Egypt, where bank of the Nile have been raised up to 1 meter. So because the essence of raising it up to 1 meter is for them to easily get water from the Nile Valley. Other area, apart from this very particular Nile Basin, the crop grown in this area includes, we have cotton, we have rice, we have vegetables, and sugarcane. These are the major crops to which they grow in this very particular area. And it's easier for them to grow this type of crop. For instance, rice. Rice needs a lot of water for their growth. And that is why you find out that they practice a lot of irrigation. The same thing also applicable to vegetables. The same thing also applicable to sugarcane. If you look at all this type of crop, even cotton, all these crops that I mentioned here, they need a lot of water for them to actually grow very well. Also, in the Nile Basin, we also have the central zone. This area in the Sudan, between the highlands of Kordofan in the west and Ethiopian islands in the east, where numerous irrigation schemes exist. In this very particular central zone of Nile Basin, there are a lot of other irrigation that also exist in that very particular area. That is, in the west Ethiopian, you have a lot of irrigation processes that exist in that very particular area. Also, in this area, we have different types of crops that are being grown. We have millets, we have groundnuts, we have rice, we have sugarcane, we have sesame, we have maize, we have citrus, we have fruits, we have wheat, and we have barley. All these crops, if you look at the characteristics of some of these crops that are grown in this very particular area, they need a lot of water. Rice needs a lot of water. Even citrus, they need a lot of water. Barley, they need a lot of water. And that is why they practice a lot of irrigation in the Nile Basin. Also, we have the Southern Depression. This area includes the Sud region. There is a particular area in the Nile Basin they call the Sud region. And this area is very close to the Sudan area, but they regard all those areas together as the Nile Basin. So we have the Sud region to which they also practice irrigation. The type of crop grown in this area also, we have cotton, and they needed irrigation for cattle being reared in that very particular area. In this very particular region, they grow a lot of cattle of different types. They need water to irrigate their land so that they can have a lot of pastures to which they can feed their cattle. Also, we have the Equatorial Sudan. This area includes Ironstone and the Lake Victoria Plateau. Lake Victoria Plateau. All this area includes the Nile Basin to which irrigation is being practiced. We also, the type of crop grown in this area includes tobacco, rice, coffee, and vegetables. All these are the type of crop that are grown in the in the sod region, that is in this very particular area. And if you also take a look at it, rice needs a lot of water, vegetable also needs a lot of water, tobacco and coffee, they also needs a lot of water. So if they don't practice irrigation in this area, definitely they will not have any crop to be grown in this very particular area. This is a tobacco production in Nile Basin through irrigation. If you look at this very particular diagram, this is a sprayer, a sprinkler or sprayer machine. And see, as the machine is going around, this machine normally goes around with the help of a power plant. It normally goes around and it's going on, it's spreading water to all other areas, to this tobacco in this very particular, in the Nile Basin, it's spreading water to that area. So the thing continue to rotate, 24/7. Once there is a power that power this very particular machine, continue to rotate and you begin to spray water to this very particular area. And then that is a form of irrigation in the Nile Basin to grow tobacco. We also have basin or flooding method. Apart from all these other methods, we also have basin or flooding method also in the Nile Basin. This involves the seasonal flooding of the nearby lands in the Nile Valley. I said something the other time. I said that usually the river Nile is usually flooded. It's usually flooded, and when flooding occurs, it's go with deposition. This soil have been deposited in a particular area and they cannot return back to to their original base. So farmers will just go there because some of these deposited soil, they are very rich in alluvium. They are very rich in alluvium. There's a particular nutrient called alluvium. They are very rich in alluvium. And so farmer goes there, they will plant their crops. That one is a basin or flooding method. Also, we also have other types. When Nile is in flood, it rises higher than raised bank onto the farms. These are just what I've just explained, that anytime there is occurrence of flooding, farmers will definitely go to that area to tend to practice some form of farming in that area. They plant different types of crops and this can actually grow well. When flood recede, the farm water on the farmland is trapped and cannot flow back into the Nile Valley. That is some of the irrigation water they tend to use in the Nile Basin. The flooded water then sink down into the soil, and the seeds carried by the flood water settles down as alluvial soil. So farmer tends to use this alluvial soil to plant different types of crop. They plant sugarcane, they plant vegetable, they plant tobacco, they plant cotton, different types of crop. They plant it on this very particular alluvial soil. Major types of irrigation. What are the major types of irrigation we have? Apart from all those ones that I've explained in the Nile Basin, we also have different types of irrigation. Let's look at these types of irrigation one by one. We have the perennial method. This is the most modern method of irrigation. This method actually deals with the use of machine. It involves the damming of rivers to create artificial reservoir, which can supply water to irrigation canal at any time of the year. This modern method that I refer to is a very modern method. They normally use it in a plantation agriculture. For example, when you have a large expanse of land, they will connect different types of pipe around that very particular area. And once that pipe is being connected, they will run water through those pipes, and it will now be serving the whole of that very particular plantation land. And that is a modern method because it requires a lot of money. So it involves the damming of river to create artificial reservoir, which can supply water irrigation canal at any time of the year. So they normally use this reservoir. They will store water in that very particular reservoir. So even if there is no rainfall or there is the level of water in the river is low, they will still have water in this very particular reservoir. And so at any particular time of the year, they can supply water to the land. Okay. The Nile has been dammed at several points. This includes Sena Dam in Sudan, Aswan High and Low dams, as well as Asu Dam, all in Egypt. All these ones, they are on River Nile. All those things I've mentioned, they are on River Nile. So many countries of the world, like Sudan, like Egypt, they normally dam that very particular Nile because River Nile is very, very big, and this can be used for irrigation purposes. We also have the Shaduf method. This is the oldest traditional method of irrigation. It's normally used by peasant farmers. Like the modern method that is being used by rich people or by those people that practice plantation farming. the shadow method. The shadow method is being used, is the oldest form of irrigation, and is being used by peasant rural farmers. The peasant rural farmers doesn't have money, so the best method to which they can use is to use shadow method, or what I call traditional method of irrigation. And this one is very simple. You just for them to go and collect water from nearby river and now spread it on their on their farmland with the use of watering can. Some of them use watering can to water their vegetables. So far today, we've been able to look at irrigation. We've been looking to look at irrigation. What is irrigation? We've been able to look at different types of irrigation. We've also been able to look at different types of irrigation in the Nile Basin. We have been able to look at other different types of irrigation, like the modern method, the sword method, and the traditional method. In our they can ask us certain questions as regards to irrigation. They can say, explain irrigation in Africa. Explain irrigation in Africa. And this word say explain. So you don't need to describe. There is a difference between explain and describe. So you have to be mindful of those keywords. This one say explain irrigation in Africa. So you can explain different types of irrigation. You don't need to describe different types of irrigation in Africa. So you have, in your exam, you have to be careful with the use of these very particular keywords. So you can send your response down to the address being shown on your screen, and you are going to get a feedback. I hope this episode has been very, very interesting, and I know you have been able to get one or two things. We shall continue on this same topic next time on School on Air. Thank you.